cheers. Enjoy the beers. Yes, yes. A good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. Welcome once again to the show, to the channel with me, a disco coming at you in front of the cans and bottles here on the bar. I am lamentably calling the Disco Arms. A little bit of a sad show tonight in many ways due to the subject matter I've chosen, due to the time scale, but also a lament and also remembrance, I suppose. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming in, or if you're watching afterwards, thanks for popping along. Do stick around. There should be some interesting points throughout the show, if I've got my plans right. Mr. Wilson, thanks for popping in. Good evening to you. Now, the beers I've got, obviously, as it says on the thumbnail and the title, is beers that are probably fairly well known to most people, certainly I think to most viewers of the channel. I'm going to get the first one in the glass. I'm going to do it slightly differently to the way I normally do the beer reviews, rather than just banging out 3 beer reviews. It's going to be a bit of a comparison review, almost. I'm going to get the first one out into the glass. As you can see, it is a bottle of Titanic Brewery's Plum Porter, 4.9%. Plum Porter, a kind of solid favourite of a beer for a long, long time. Certainly one that is kind of very dear to the hearts here at Rasko and Disco, as it were. Sort of appropriate, put it in the old Eden camera glass, because it's a brewery that kind of, I reckon, has fairly traditional roots, despite being probably, we all say it's kind of almost felt like an introduction to craft beer when they were bringing out something slightly different, especially in their porters. Now, I will caveat that, and that's a good point. That's my favourite regular beer off cask. I think it probably would be mine, or has been mine for a long time. Now, bear in mind, I'm doing it in the bottle. I've obviously had this beer numerous times. It's one I can occasionally get in and just reach into the stash for and drink without having to worry about reviewing it, because we put it on the channel. And I'm sure written about it over on Instagram plenty of times. So solid old favourite, but it's probably better in cask, to be fair. Cheers anyway. Yeah, it is one that definitely on cask for a sparkler if necessary has a much smoother finish. In the bottle, I find it a little bit robust, a little bit slightly rough on the edges, and slightly, not quite sure what that right word is. It's not quite as much plummy jamminess. It's a little bit more raspy, if that's the right word. But it's a beer I've been drinking, or we've been drinking on the channel for quite some time. It was one of the earliest ones that we kind of really got into, and for a while we were chasing it around London. Me and Rasko would meet up in London and look on the early days, even prior obviously to starting the channel in 2018. We was chasing around London looking at Twitter. It was a Plum Porter, dedicated Plum Porter Twitter feed. There would note where it was on, so me and Rasko would dash off, and it was kind of where the channel idea sort of developed, that me and Rasko could do beer reviews from out and about, give an excuse to meet up across London. So Plum Porter was a very, very early beer in our beer journey. Watching County on Sky in the background, fair play to Stockport. Yeah. What's more exciting, the Stockport round county game will be winding on about Plum Porter, but we'll see. Because I do have the comparison, for comparative purposes, you understand, with another one that we had from very early on, the Grand Reserve. Not only the Grand Reserve, because I do believe there have been 3 versions of this. There's the straight Plum Porter. There's the Plum Porter Grand Reserve. And then there's this, the Grand Porter, the Plum Porter Grand Reserve Port Infused. I don't know how they do that, where they do that, and about anything, but I have had this beer a long time ago, the Port Infused version. I've had a Grand Reserve again, mostly on cask. So I'm interested in like the comparison. I've never done a straight comparison, so I got these in last year. It's not like with videos I meant to do as a video, and time just got away with me. The best before on these bottles are February of this year, so I'm not sure how that affects. I don't think it will affect the big one particularly. I've done the Plum Porter right up first. I have also got, as you probably see in the photo, the Cherry Porter, which again is one we've been drinking for a long time. I don't necessarily know when the first pint of Plum Porter was, where we found it first. So long ago, I don't have that crystal clear recollection. It's not one of those remember where you were when kind of moments. But nonetheless, there's quite a few of these pints have been supped. It's my beer. It's a beer my spoon says every 2 months or so. Make sure I have multiple pints. Yes, I've not seen it in spoons for some time, but then I haven't been frequenting spoons that much. But it's one, and it's cured a couple of hangovers as well. By the way, prefer the Grand Reserve. Oh, prefer the Grand Reserve to the Grand Reserve Port Infused. Interesting. I've not for some time seen all three of them together to do a full comparison, but what I'm going to do, because this one is not as good as I remember it. I have a feeling they've gone a little bit the way of many breweries, suffering slightly on quality as production gets ramped up in production size. There's that slightly, it's not quite insipid, but there is a little bit of a burn at the background. It's not quite overripe fruit, but it's more slightly, it's not even tart, but it's more slightly earthy kind of fruitiness. So I'm not really sure about this one. It's a long time since I've had the Cherry Porter, so I thought I'd do that one second and it might be a bit better. The benefit of this, of course, is being that the Grand Reserve is a big 750 bottle. I don't have to drink all of it, and I don't propose to be drinking all of it on the stream. I shall put it away and have a little bit after work tomorrow. But as it is, I want to see how it compares. So I should just pour a little taster up and then give it the old Welsh top. I like that. Not sure why it would have a cap on it and not just a Welsh top from the off. Everybody loves a pop top, right? So the Grand Reserve, Port Infused. Not much different on the aroma. Cheers. It's definitely smoother. Much better on the head as far as me with beers. Even, especially it's only 4.9. If it was like a 10%, I could see that head dissipating like that, but that worries me a little. This one, it's a beer I've often found difficult to describe in the past. It's got a slight red wine character to it. Maybe that's the port. And it's definitely a big fruit note to it. But yeah, it's not quite as good as I remember it. Some good lacing developing already on the glass there. The beer itself is good. I'm just wondering about those kind of plum flavours. Oh, much more sweet plum going on there. More like prunes than plums. Kind of dates. Are these the beers Simmer had in smaller bottles, or is that a different version? I'm not sure, because there are different, like I say, different iterations. So maybe he had the Grand Reserve that I think has come out in smaller bottles, um, or did he just have the straight Plum Porter? Um, oh yeah, here we go. Oh, they are currently all on there. Certainly the cherry one, anyway. So you got the cherry porter Grand Reserve Amaretto infused. That's coming up. Stick around. And the cherry porter Grand Reserve. It's really interesting how they get both beers at 6.5%, but one's got amaretto in it. Uh, and there on the left is the port infused plum porter. And they've got the plum porter and cherry porter, but they don't seem to have the plum porter Grand Reserve. Interesting. I was probably never going to get around to doing a triple lineup. No, that's a 775, 750 ml bottle as well. The Grand Reserve. Although they haven't got. Yeah, the Grand. Oh no, yeah, the Grand Reserve is in 330s, and an only in a 12 pack. Don't need 12 of them. I just need a couple to compare. But there you go. It's weird that, isn't it? You got one in. What? The standard version Plum Porter and Cherry Porter in 500 mils. The Grand Reserve in 330s, even though it's the same ABV as the Amaretto version in 750 ml bottles. I'm not quite sure. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. Well, to be fair, what I didn't expect is the Grand Reserve to only be 6.5. I thought, especially with the port in it, it was stronger. I did in my head some reason, so I can see what you mean. Again, the head's dissipated a little bit there now. I mean, it does say stronger, but it's still got them not quite right plummy notes for me. It's sort of not as smooth and it's not as fruity as I remember it. I guess that's what happens when you look back on stuff. Certainly a good 5 years since I've have a look. Well, no, I can't scroll down through that now, can I? Yeah, daft. It's had half each, so went on to other things. I think you kind of have to get up Stoke-on-Trent way to be seeing the Grand Reserve on draft anymore. I have definitely had it, and I can't really remember where that was. But yeah, the reason I was talking about Plum Porter though is because in our many perambulations across town, one of our favourite pubs, we definitely had bundles of Plum Porter in, was a delightful little pub named the Bree Louise. If you ever went there, David, down here in London, just outside of Euston Station. I only went there for a couple of years. I think I only found it in about 2015. I was introduced to it, and then thereafter, pretty much any football trip that ended in London, we didn't go there early. We always went on the way back. So anywhere from up north that got into Euston, we'd be straight to the Bree Louise for pints. Quite divisive as a pub sometimes on the bar. 20 odd gravity taps and half a dozen hand pulls. So there was plenty of choice, plenty of beers. Some sat well and some didn't. There was some a little bit flat occasionally, but it was all good, solid, traditional beer, craft or traditional, whatever you want to call it, on cask. You know, you had your absolute treats like Titanic was a big feature there. A lot of Titanic beers, but then you see like a lot of stuff from sort of up north that you wouldn't necessarily see in London. You'd see like Wold Top, Bank Top, Exmoor. It's quite often in there, as well as a lot of the London breweries. Sandbrooks, where would usually have something on pump there. Portobello, quite often, and I can't find any pictures. That's the annoying thing. I was going to load all the pictures up. They're probably on a couple of laptops somewhere. I don't categorize my photographs. I don't even I've been taking digital photographs for 15 years, but I don't catalog them. Does anybody else do that? What do you do with digital photographs these days? Do you collect them, or do you just leave them on a phone and then the phone dies and you lose them? I have got some sort of lined up and not quite alphabetized, but they are there. I've just never quite got around to sorting them so that when I want to find one quickly, it's there at hand, which is a bit of a shame. But also, you can always find stuff on the internet. Yeah, I love a bit of Exmoor Beast or Exmoor Gold. You see that fair bit. You lose on each phone, mostly because they're not always that important. But yeah, for me doing this sort of thing, I always want to grab up a photograph, do a little memory thing. But there is always, of course, the internet for that sort of thing. So I can't actually show you any of my photographs. So yeah, for those who don't remember it or didn't go there, this is the Bree Louise. Say just opposite Euston Station, off to the side. So if you knew it was there, it was kind of hard to find, even though it was just down a fairly small side street. Come out the entrance by the Sainsbury's and the coffee shop, and it was over the road. Lovely old building, nothing majorly remarkable or architecturally particularly outstanding, as you can see from that photograph there. But inside, it was a solid, proper pub, and it wasn't massive, as you can see there. That is basically the size of it. It's pretty much one room plus the toilets, and yeah, it wasn't quite spit and sawdust, but it was bare floorboards. Never enough room at the bar. We all loved it. It was obviously on the weekend often pretty crowded in there, and then sometimes you come back from a football trip, bundle in at 10 o'clock, and it were empty for the last hour. But as I say, a lovely pub it was. But on this day, or maybe it's tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly, but we lost it. It was closed. It was CPO'd, compulsory purchase by whoever was running the thing, in favour of HS Bastard 2, as I took to calling it. Now, I have to be careful here not to get too into politics or opinion piece, but yeah, I hate HS Bastard 2 for what they did, not just to the Bree Louise, but a lot of other properties, businesses and homes and people. Just roughshod over it. Because I can't even show you what it looks like now, because it's the building site. So that's what it looks like. This Euston station, and off to the left, it was just swept away. Now, you can't build new stations and new infrastructure without knocking down a few buildings and that. But it was the way they went about it. It was there, right on the corner, opposite the station. I think that sounds right. I think Euston Station's that way. No, Euston Station is there. Oh, you've got to walk all the way around. So that was the left-hand corner in the other photograph. Here's the thing about Google Maps. You can't even go back anymore. You used to be able to go back to see other dates, or maybe you just can't do it there. Maybe that's a little bit of a naughty thing. HS2 have taken previous photographs off there, so you can't even go and see the place, what it used to look like. But things happen. We move on. There are other pubs available in the area, but it was just that one was a particularly memorable one. Don't take my word for it. This is the landlord, Craig. He'll tell you even more about it and what happened.
We were served notice by HS2 Limited.
I watched this earlier and I didn't see it. I have just noticed on that board, I generally didn't see this earlier, just under the line, I can't wait for that line to go off, but it does say Titanic, Plum Porter, Grand Reserve, 6.5%. I hadn't noticed that earlier. So I will most likely have had, and I think that's the Grand Reserve unport infused. There's a 9% Imperial Stout at the top there as well on Gravity. Sandbrook's Powerhouse Porter. Redemption, that was there quite a lot. And then Plum Porter on the hand, the regular version over there on the left-hand side, actually. Windsor and Eton, that was the other one we drunk there quite a lot. And I also used to have some interesting ciders like Leg Bender and Knee Wobbler and stuff.
The good old Secretary of State will own our property as of the 31st of January.
Well, gives you an idea of the inside. The bar on the right there is the Gravity bar. Although there's hand pulls on there, that was merely for displaying the pump clips. And all the handles were on the left-hand side. But yeah, that's about the size of it. There's only one more table there past the camera and two the other side on the left. And yeah, that's not even that busy there.
They've given us the 20th of November was our first date that they've given us, but we sort of argued with them and said, well, it's not really fair to give us that short notice and not let us have our last Christmas in the pub. So they kindly let us go to the 31st of January, if you can call that kindly. We bought this as the Jolly Gardens, but then we had twins, George and Bree Louise, and sadly Bree Louise died aged 12 weeks, so we asked Camden Licensing if we could rename it, and they said yes. So it's been the Bree Louise now for 14 years, and sadly it's going to disappear. In our case, though, if we take another pub on, I'd like to put the name in there somewhere, whether we renamed it or not, because you've got to give respect to a pub's name and where it comes from. There was no one that it bothered here because it wasn't very jolly and there were no gardens anywhere. So, but I'd read in the Morning Advertiser last year, one of the big boys just took over a pub without any concern for why it was called what it was called, and all of the locals were up in arms about it. So if we took another pub on, you'd almost want to ask the locals, look guys, do you mind if we renamed it? And if the answer to that was yes, then what you'd do is you would go, if it was a pub called, say, the Six Bells, you go, well, it'll be the Bree Louise at the Six Bells. Yes, because we bring in weird and wonderful stuff from breweries people haven't even heard of, and unlike most pubs in London, if they've only got 3 real ales, you can almost guarantee it's Green King IPA, Doom Bar and London Pride. You know, they couldn't pay me to sell any of those.
What do you think of the big winners of this HS2 redevelopment? I think someone's going to make some money on it.
I have no idea. I can't see that anyone wins out of it, really. Perhaps people in Birmingham will win out of it, because what's going to happen is Birmingham becomes commutable to London. So people that live in Birmingham will now start working in London, not the other way round. But the Great North does need some kind of help up there, to link Birmingham to Leeds, Bradford, Liverpool to Hull. That's essential to be done for the sake of the economy in the country. But to do what they're doing here, it started off, they were saying about getting us to Birmingham quicker. They changed their tune on that quite rapidly, and years ago, I remember when they first were in Euston Station, they put a quarter cabin out the front there with this beautiful maps of everything they were going to do, and the station would have affordable housing above it and everything, and of course that all got pulled, and their initial costs of 30-40 billion, we all know now, will be 100 billion or probably more. And we're all paying our taxes in this state of austerity that they've got us living in at the moment, and our health service, our schooling, our police forces are all in a situation where they could use a few quid more to make it a better place for us all to live in. So yeah, I can't see that anyone's winning. There's pubs closing down out there. Some villages had too many pubs, or some towns, but there's no good pubs closing down. So to take a good one out for no reason particularly, it is soul destroying. Our son's grown up with the kids around here. Our 14-year-old's been walking up Drummond Street since he could walk, and now the shopkeepers poke their head out the door and say, "Hello, Georgie, how you doing?" And he goes to school with half the kids, whether they be Bangladeshi, Somalian or not, or English, the same as him, white English. It doesn't matter. It's part of the community. We're part of it, and we've evolved into it. There's a massive community around here, and I think, if anything, HS2's helped show that, because the rallying around that everyone's done to support each other, those that aren't being affected or displaced by it, are still so much solidarity from them for everyone that is, Saturday the 27th of January, we will have a party and a half. The only thing left wet in this building will be my wife and mine's tears, I guarantee you. Yeah.
Hello.
Well, it wasn't wrong. I was there on the 27th of January 2018. More about that later, but yeah, I gotta say, I didn't notice that actually. Yeah, there was various things about it. Was it 10 minutes or 20 minutes now? It's, especially if they actually run and all that sort of stuff, there's no guarantee that it would. I'm not against HS Bastard 2 in general. Yeah, we need more train travel. We used to travel around, like I say, across the country going to football matches back in them days. So more trains would only have been a good thing. My problem was the method that they did, the way they went about it. Like I say, you can't build a whole new infrastructure without knocking a few buildings down. But the way they went about it, and by the way, he is still waiting for what he thinks is adequate compensation. I've seen quotes from him. They've offered compensation, but it was only for the value of the place at the time, as he said. And I had conversations with Craig around about that time in the pub, and he said, well, they basically offered him a new establishment in the station when it was complete. And we know now it may or may not ever get complete. But they said to him, yeah, they've offered me a new pub in the station when it's complete in 17 years time to get the whole thing up and running and done. He was like 50 something, and he said, I'm near retirement by then. What do I need a new pub for? I want my pub now to keep running because it's making money. It's a good pub. I don't know what he was turning over, but he used to coin in a fair bit in the beers, and the beers were cheap enough as well. He wasn't mugging people off for the price for the beer he was selling. So he thinks he should be owed a few more millions than they're actually giving him. So last I heard, he retired to Dorset or Devon, I think, where things were a bit cheap. He did get some money. He did get a bit of compensation, but he was holding out for a lot more. So fair play to Craig. Bless him. I don't think he's in the pub game anymore. But yeah, nor is the Bree Louise. We are quite, disappointed by it. It used to, it did definitely used to get in all sorts of people in. Certainly, I was mostly there occasionally during the week, but on Saturdays you'd get all various football fans because you'd get people transiting through London, changing trains. So everybody from the north who was playing down in London and the south would transit through. Then everybody from the south who was playing in the north would be transiting back and stop at Euston for a pint or several. And then there was quite a big rugby crowd as well because they were travelling across town. As you see there, Craig in a Harlequin shirt. That's because he used to play for Harlequins, a professional rugby player in his day. So I just need to smooth small section of track, in my opinion, 76. Well, yeah, no, the whole point of it was all the tracks out of Euston were getting clogged up with the freight that was running up there. So they needed to get a dedicated line to run the freight so there's more paths for the trains out of Euston, because the trains out of Euston still to this day are not exactly reliable on a regular basis. And that was always my problem. Don't need to get to Birmingham 20 minutes quicker. We need to get to Birmingham on time, every time, and for the trains to be running when we want them at a good price. It's not about spending hundreds of billions of pounds to get a new railway. And I'm on my soapbox now. We already had a railway that went to the Midlands and to the north. It was called the Great Central. And there was plenty of options and possibilities. If nothing else, you put the freight up, put that railway back. It went to Leicester, Nottingham, Sheffield, Manchester. Put that back and put all the freight up there. Or you can't put high-speed trains on it because they wanted Arrow straight track to have high-speed trains. Well, if you get all the freight out of the way and put it on the longer, slower route, you've got a high-speed train there out of Euston. You can also get to Birmingham out of Marylebone and Paddington. So you've got plenty of paths. They just saw this great white elephant and somebody's making money out of it. And that was my problem. They rode roughshod over people's houses and businesses like that, and all the way up through the Chilterns, carving it up for a line that was already there. Yeah, so that really annoyed me. So I'm going to move on from HS Bastard 2. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this down because I'm not really keen about them being up there anyway after you see what happened. 2 other beers. I'll leave that Plum Porter for afterwards. I haven't enjoyed that as much as I had hoped and as much as I used to. But I never used to drink out of the bottle, so I will take Mr. Wilson's advice and look out for it in the Wetherspoons. See what else I can see. Sammy, good evening to you. Hope you're doing all right. Hope work's been good to you. Hello, thanks for popping in. Much love. So I'm going to cleanse the palate because I'm not sure about that plum taste now still. And I'm going to go and do the other comparison of the other beer on that list, the cherry porter. I'm all about cherries in beer as long as it works well. So let's see how well this works. I'm fairly certain this used to be called cherry dark. Again, seen it up and down the country in pubs and beer festivals. Much nicer on the pour. Definitely dark with a little bit of redness going on there. Oh, here it is on the neck, isn't it? Yeah, best before February, so it's off pretty much. Same batch, I guess. Nice dark, a little bit of fizz, and it's fairly tight. Creamy, kind of rather than pillowy head. Bear with me just a sec. I suppose I'm drinking a Grand Reserve tonight, but in tea form. I'm trying Yorkshire Gold tea rather than standard Yorkshire tea. Wow. Getting a little bit of extra posh tea. I didn't know there was such a thing. I thought Yorkshire tea were Yorkshire tea. Don't mess with it. You know what I mean? Don't mess with Yorkshire tea. There we go. Rather gone out of focus. There we go. That's better. Right then, the cherry porter then. Much fruitier on the nose, even though I've just cleared the old snozzer. Yeah, lovely cherry, almost cherry tart, like not quite cherry bakewell. Good evening to you. Thanks for popping in. Give it a thumbs. Superb. It's double the price, but not double the flavour. That doesn't sound very Yorkshire at all. I've got to stop doing Yorkshire jokes. But yeah, really nice, rich cherry aroma. A little bit of kind of bourbon there. Bourbon biscuit and bourbon barrel aging. Let's get down a minute before that head dissipates any further. Cheers to everyone. What else is anybody drinking, by the way? Has anybody else got a plum porter on or anything like that? I know Mr. B's on the tea. What have you got, Mr. Wilson, in your glass? If anything at all, we're having a day off. Cheers. That's better. That's kind of why I saved this one second. Oh dear. No, not a fan of hotbed, as you can tell. Too hoppy for my liking, but a good solid beer, no doubt. Only ever had about 1 pint of it and turned my nose up at that, but I know it's a decent pint. Oh, it's fucking nose. So yeah, cherry porter, much smoother. Still got that slight edge to it. Something I don't quite get, that kind of earthy note, which I'm not overly pleased about. But yeah, it's interesting. Can't remember the last time I had a pint of this either. It's definitely a good cherry note, but I can't tell whether it's kind of natural or possibly natural flavourings. A well-rounded fruity porter, hoppy. Maybe that's the earthiness. I don't want a hoppy porter. I don't remember it being a hoppy porter. With strong notes of Ranier cherries, Red in colour with a sweet nose. Yeah, true. Balanced. A balanced finish, drinking a very easy drinking beer. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Smooth cherry vanilla. Don't know about that. Doesn't say what the hops are, sadly. Oh no, yes it does. Yeah. So malts are Marisotta, Pearl, Wheat, Dark Munich, and more wheat. It says wheat twice. The hops in this are Pilgrim, Hercules, Goldings, and Celia. Two I've not really heard of. I don't see that often. But yeah, also at 4.9%. I'm guessing that's a very similar lineup, maybe to the Plum Porter. The Plum Porter malts are Marisotta, Pearl, Wheat, and Dark Crystal, and the hops are Pilgrim, Hercules, Goldings, and Celia. So I guess mostly the difference is the additives. Yeah, you see, it doesn't say natural cherries, it says natural cherry flavouring. Well, the most natural way of getting cherry flavour, you would imagine, will be actual cherries, and you would say cherries, not natural cherry flavour. Anyway, I'm not getting on that bandwagon again. Yeah, so the same hop lineup, same everything, just different flavourings. Which again is a touch disappointing from a brewery that and a beer that well liked. Yeah, I hate the word flavourings. Just tell us what you flavoured it with, or is it not natural? Yeah, there's some tautology going on there. Yeah, Plum Porter is pretty much the same. It's kind of disappointing, but you know why they do it, I suppose. Oh yeah, you don't like cherry, do you? Cherry is lacking. I think initially the cherry aroma leads you down that cherry path, and yeah, like I say, it's one of those that is also not as good as I remember it on cask. Anyway, so it's one I've probably got to go and if I see it again, I'll start getting out and about again a bit more because I haven't been still any further down here. But if I see it in spoons, maybe I'll have a look. That's the trouble about nostalgia. It's not as good as it used to be. But I have got the other beer, so I feel duty bound because I've set myself this challenge. And I do like Amaretto and cherry. So no doubt that's probably the same. A bit more information on this one. Born and bred in Staffordshire, two beer-loving brothers, Keith and Dave Bott, with uncompromising expectations when they order a pint, are at the helm of Titanic Brewery. Back in 1988, Keith and Dave knew the only way to ensure their beer was good enough was to buy Stokes Brewery and run it themselves. Fair play. So, yeah, nearly 40 years. Fair play. I was first kind of aware of them, I think, in the early 2000s. Yeah, it doesn't go too much on the ingredients in this one. It just says malts, hops, natural cherry flavouring, yeast, and amaretto. Also on the best before of next month, which is only a week or so away. Love the branding, love the bottle. Talking cherry, I have a Kipling's lemon bakewell tart. Lemon? Yeah, I don't see why not. 100% recommend, especially with a cup of Yorkshire tea. Right, let's get this amaretto infused cherry porter. Let me get that the right way round. There you go. Again, big 750ml sharer bottle. Saw on the website earlier. And yeah, get into the tribute glass. Another beer drinking for a long, long time. I tell you what, that goes even better. I'm not going to pour the full pint again, once again. Oh, Nah, I missed the bottom. Missed the bubble. Something's gone wrong there. Don't fit. So I took it off of there because I'm trying to force it in. I'm sure that's the right way around, you know. I mean, it does come off. So, okay, well, we're going to have to worry about that one later. We're going to have to fight with that. Oh, still a bit of gas in there, then. Yeah, it to be over the same side. I see what's happened. In there. And then, yeah, there we go. We got it. Just over the wrong way around. It's been flipped over. So we can seal that. Keep the gas in. Happy days. Yeah, oh, yeah, we said it. Yeah. How much were they? Since I bought them last year, they might have gone up a little bit, but at the moment, we are on a Titanic website. Let's have a look. I think I bought the set. So a plum and a cherry, 18.95. No, that's the Grand Reserve. So 2 cherry porter Grand Reserve Amaretto. Yeah, same price. Well, I suppose it should be there. Exactly the same beer, just with slightly different additives. Or you can get the regular cherry porter. Singles. Oh yeah, then I looked at the stouts. Cappuccino stout, chocolate vanilla stout, another a long-standing favourite from Titanic that I haven't seen for a while. I was less happy with actually talking about that now with definitely Iceberg, White Star, and their pales didn't really ever do it for me. But yeah, I don't know why you can't get the. Oh yeah, you can get them in singles, $9.95. I don't know why you can't get the Grand Reserve cherry porter as opposed to the Grand Reserve Amaretto infused cherry porter in 330s. You get them in triples. Just yeah, yeah. So £9 a bottle. The cherry is just about worth it. Cheers. No, it's not going to work. I'll tell you for why, because I'm going to do this again. It's a fiction of bad sinuses. Anyway, yeah, nice. Again, same to be fair as the plum. Great head development, nice. And yeah, tight, foamy kind of head. Got a smile on the eye because of my terrible nose. I do apologise for the sniffing. Anyway, let's get this one down the neck. Cherry Porter Grand Reserve Amaretto infused. Cheers. Well, yeah. Still got that really rough edge for me, which is again a tad disappointing, I have to say. I'm not bothered taking any photographs tonight because I've already taken photographs of these beers a while back. I don't have to post them back tomorrow, mainly because I'm up with Brewery, so I won't have a lot of time. But yeah, struggling for nice things to say, to be honest. The bottle shop, just one on the other in London. One thing about bottle shops depends on their nature, doesn't it? Might not see this in a bottle shop in London that much. So they go for cherry bakery with the Amaretto. If they are, they've aimed and missed slightly. For me, there's less cherry on it than the standard one. That's much more about the cherry. I'm not even really getting the Amaretto that much. Maybe I've forgotten. No, I haven't. I've had Amaretto fairly recently, so I know what it's meant to taste like. Even the cheap Amaretto, I don't mind. But this is sort of neither here nor there. And that rough bit around the edges isn't really smoothed out by a nice smooth porter. Which is a shame. I really wanted to. I mean, look, the lacing on the glass on that one, the same as the Plum Porter, definitely indicates a decent, well-made beer. I just don't really get the flavours on it that well, which is a shame. Because as I say before, I've had so many good pints of this. I swear it's probably changed a bit, you know. Got a bit more ubiquitous, cut a few costs here and there, gone to natural flavourings rather than actual natural flavouring. It's boozy. It's got a good kind of Amaretto barrel aged kind of booziness on the outer edge. Just the flavour. I don't know. Maybe I was just holding it in far too higher expectation. Smooth though, in the main consist of the body, and then not too much flavour, and then that kind of odd rough edge to it. I'm not really sure about. I mean, I'll finish it. I will, because it's all right. It's just I've had better. But yeah, as for the Bree Louise, it's a good enough beer to raise in memory of a pub that will live long in the memory. That shop exactly 7 years ago, today or tomorrow. We're not entirely sure. I'm sure there was still a bit left over. I do remember that last night, the 27th, only for a number of reasons, which I'll come on to. Couldn't tell you what I drank. I wasn't doing beer reviews then, so I never kind of. I must have taken some photographs, but like I say, I've lost them all on other laptops or phones. Yeah, I did have a smartphone by then, 2018. But I wasn't putting them up on beer reviews, so I I can't go back and search and see what beers I was drinking there. I was just drinking there. Haven't noticed your East. Oh, I see. Is there one? Well, it's funny you should say that, actually. It's kind of well hidden. I'll come on to that in a minute. Because, yeah, that last night, the 27th of January 2018 in the Bree Louise, it got messy. It got messy. I remember leaving. I don't remember getting home. But fortunately, even though I don't remember taking any photographs, other people did. And I don't think I've ever mentioned this before. I've certainly never put it on screen. But yeah, in the Bree Louise, the 27th of January, on closing weekend, I don't think we drank the pub dry, but looks like we fair gave it a go because this happened. See Craig there, completely ambivalent to all the chaos going on in his pub. Just smashingly doing out of text. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah. So that happened. we led the singing on the last night of the Bree Louise. I don't know who started that. I don't know if it was me or Rasko, but I think it was me because there was like a football chant kind of thing. Rasko's a QPR fan, so he doesn't know a lot about football. Standard joke, but yeah, that was the last night, the 27th of January 2018 in the Bree Louise. I think I'm sure that was a Saturday night, if I remember rightly. So they definitely were talking about doing something on the Sunday just to finish up and drink the place dry. I didn't go back, and I think there was something the Monday as well, because they were talking about handing it back on the 30th in the end. So I didn't go back on the last day just because anger, generally, mostly anger about the whole place having to close. It's funny though, Mr. B should mention the Easter egg. It's kind of been staring you in the face all night. If you saw on the thumbnail where I put the beers on, was this, and I've never admitted it until now. Can you guess where this came from? Yeah, as I stumbled out of that night after drunkenly leading the singing, this was in the middle of the doorway, and I picked it up and carried on stumbling into the middle of the road, and then I kept walking and never looked back. So that's my little memento of the Bree Louise. It's just a stall, but it holds so much more than just beer. It holds all the memories of the place. It sits pride of place. I've never displayed it. It sits in the corner of the room. I sometimes use it to sit on or as a footstool. That's my Bree Louise stool. That's my Easter egg for tonight's stream. as much as the memories of Titanic Plum Porter, as we saw on the opening YouTube clip there. But yeah, I mean, I kept going. I figured they didn't really need it back since they were closed. I don't know what they did with all the other furniture, but if he'd opened another pub somewhere with all the same stuff, I'm sure it went into storage. I would have given it back, but it never happened. So yeah, that's staying with me. I think after 7 years, it's mine for keeps, and it's only a mere technicality. I'm sure I'll chat to Craig about it if I ever see him. But yeah, that's my memories of the Bree Louise, fine pub in London. Well, it was fine for us as well. Part of our beer journey, our beer memories. One of those things we should probably never get back. There we go. As I say, there are other pubs available. I do want to give a big shout out to the Dodo Micro Pub. It was 8 years old today, over in Hanwell. Another favourite micro pub of ours, and there's not that many about over in West London. In fact, there's only 2 now. So shout out to that. But yeah, thank you very much indeed to everybody for indulging in a slightly different kind of beer review. Slightly disappointed beers, I have to say. Where we've all done that. I kind of stopped now. Yeah, well, yeah. I was there too. Yeah, well, talking of nostalgia, yeah, talking about Rasko, really, because he set the channel up. Funnily enough, a good 6 months after that video was taken, we didn't start beer reviewing and doing videos until August 2018. So that's a different kind of piece of nostalgia for you. But yeah, it's been an interesting look back at a pub, a beer dear to my heart. We've all had an interest. I will put links to all those things in the descriptions after the event. If you're watching after the event, thanks again for watching this far. Please click like and subscribe and all that jazz. It's free at the point of dispense and it helps the channel. And we'll see you the next time. Not sure. I might do on Thursday. I'm not sure what works tomorrow, so we'll see. But yeah, apart from that, cheers everyone. Mr. Wilson, Mr. B, everybody for popping in and sharing your beer stories. Do let us know in the comments down below. If you're watching after the event, did you ever go to Bree Louise? What do you remember? Because I don't remember a lot. I just know I was there. So yeah, cheers and enjoy the beers. I've been Rasko Disco Beer Review. This has been the new live show, part 55 on a Tuesday Tipple, talking about Plum Porter and the Bree Louise pub in Euston. Cheers and enjoy the beers.